Welcome, welcome, gorgeous beings of light. This is Almara coming to you with 100 Miracles in 100 Days project and the Effortless Manifesting and Awareness Activation Quickies. Take a big breath in. Just breathe out through the mouth and bring your awareness within. And we're up to miracle number 16. And it's the day after Boxing Day in Australia. And of course there's lots of energy of love and the opposite of that around at this time of year. So we're going to focus our miracle on the love within, and also maybe twin flames and soulmates. Throw all that in the mix because it's a lot of not so clear information about it out there, but I am sure by the end of this miracle that was like 30 years in the making, you'll be able to laugh at yourself as I did myself and have a new understanding what being in love really means. Deep breathe in, take a big belly breath in, let it out through the mouth. Acknowledge the earth and the sun and your own divine heart within. And as you bring your awareness in, return your breath to in through the nose and out through the nose. While we just do a quickie awareness activation. So bring your awareness within to your body and all of the gripes that go along with your body. And just temporarily just toss that aside. For me, I toss it out the window because that's where I sit and meditate, and there's a window right by it. So I can experience the wind when she comes up to greet me while I'm doing these activations for you. So if it's snowing like it is in a lot of America and Canada and you're snowed in, probably not a good idea to chuck your body out on the veranda. So just place it in another room where it's warm and there's a fire going. But just place it away from you. Take your awareness off your body and move it to inside of you and breathe. See if you can notice if your energy is just a little bit lighter without all those stories about how tall, how short, or how fat, or how bald, the color of your skin, your eyes, your hair, etc., etc. All those stories that we put on our body, just place it aside and breathe. And now we're just going to bring our awareness into our identity. Name, address, phone number, all the things that identify ourselves as who we are. House we live in, the car we live in, kids, cats, dogs, pets, families, all of that. Qualifications, university degrees, occupation, date of birth, name, address, throw it all out the window or in another room, please, and breathe. Let go of that stuff you have identified as you and see if you can find a bigger, brighter, more beautiful you, which I'm sure you will if you follow with me. Big breath in. Now you're going to ask your higher self to take all of your opinions, especially those strong ones you may have about bullies, about climate change, about racism, war, etc. And then all of your feelings, good and bad, and all your emotions, any sadness, any depression, any disappointment, any of those things, any labels that you have on yourself, and throw them all out the window or in another room as well, please, and breathe. In through the nose and out through the nose now. Unless you're releasing, in which you open your mouth and yawn, and don't put your hand over your mouth. Just let that yawn or burp or sneeze or whatever come out. Because they're all relevant to releasing stuff out of your body. Energy, old, stuck energy. And now bring awareness up into your mind. And you're going to ask your higher self to help you release your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, and all of your thoughts, and toss them out the window or in another room and breathe. Bring your awareness into that stillness, into that 99% untapped pure potential that now has the ability to present itself to you without all those stories about who you are, your body, your emotions, your thoughts. There's just you, pure awareness. Breathe. Just breathe again. Bring your awareness into the 99% untapped, pure potential, pure God source that exists within every one of your 100 trillion cells and your 100 trillion telomeres. It is this gorgeous awareness that you are feeling right now that is connected to all time and space, all dimensions of light, all universes, galaxies, star systems, planets, and other worlds and universes. And just breathe. And sit in this energy and let it wake up inside of you. Let it run your life instead of the 1% that's been fucking it up for most of your life. Your ego is always trying to protect you and keep you safe. This part of you is trying to show you how magnificent you are and how magnificent your life can be if you would just let go of all of that control and breathe. Now another area of our life, and just continue to breathe now while I start this miracle. Another area of our life that we all get so stuck in and confused about is the area of falling in love, being in love, twin flames, soulmates, waiting for our kings and queens to show up. So this will be of particular interest to those people who have met and found soulmates and twin flames and it hasn't worked out, or those people that are still waiting for their king or queen, or those people who have had their king or queen and vowed never to have another one ever again. Breathe. So this is so funny to me now that I'm, a much older, more mature woman, but in my 20s, early 20s, I met a gorgeous young man because the man I was dating was being mean to me and wouldn't drive me home. He'd taken me to a party on the other side of Perth and it said that he would bring me home. I had asked to come home and get my own car, and he had said, no, I'll take you home. Anyway, of course, we got there, he gets drunk, and I've got no way to get home. And one of the people who lived in the house with my boyfriend's brother where the party was, he offered to drive me home because he'd been studying and not boozing. I was also very aware that my boyfriend was flirting with another woman, and that's why I wanted to go home. But anyway, so we're driving home, we get home, strike up an instant connection with this young man, and one thing leads to another because I'm all upset about my boyfriend, very ex-boyfriend at that point. one thing leads to another, and I end up making love to this young man, and we had just an instant connection that was so instant that is the one and only time that I had a Kundalini rising experience when we were making love. And he was like, I was like 22 and he was like 19 or something. I can't remember. Anyway, I know that he was 3 or 4 years younger than me. And it played on my mind a lot at the time that I was the older woman. And he wrote to me, and he used to write the most beautiful love letters. But after a while, I broke it off with him because I thought that I was the older person and I shouldn't be going out with someone younger, which is just ridiculous now. When I look back on a 3-4 year age gap, when a lot of my friends are 10 and 20 and 30 years younger than me at the moment. So, but we stayed friends. We stayed very good friends, and I was even to meet his partner. He often would ring me up, especially if he'd had a few beers, and say to me, "You're my what if girl." And he even rang me on the night that he got engaged to say to me, "You're my what if girl." And I would just say, "Listen, it wasn't meant to be in this lifetime. You're with the lovely, with your lovely lady now. And, it's just not meant to be. It's not meant to be in this lifetime." Fast forward a decade or so, and I begin to think about him when I still haven't met my soulmate 20 years later or whatever, in my 40s, and I begin to think about this man. He had left Australia to go to Germany. That's the main reason he and his lady got married, was because she was from over there and he could easily get into Germany. And she was an opera singer and wanted to do, there was more opportunities to sing as an opera singer, and she wanted to get that done before she was too old. So they moved to Germany just for 1 year. And so that was kind of like around the time I was 30, and a decade later, I'm thinking about, in my 40s, I wonder if I made a mistake. What if he was my soulmate? It's just crazy how the mind works sometimes. Anyway, so I look for him for a whole decade and can't find him, but I'm mostly looking in Australia. And then one day I just happened to Google his surname, and I'd remembered that his brother had been a pro golfer. So I put in just the surname and pro golfer, and bugger me dead, up pops his brother. And he's living in Perth, which is where we were both from the first time we met when I was in my 20s. And I was just so excited that I ring his brother to see if I could get, this guy's phone number. But his brother's on holidays for 2 weeks. He's not back for 2 weeks. Guess what happens in 2 weeks? I'm there going, "Oh my God, I found him. This is meant to be. He is my king," whatever. I don't even know. I don't remember. I remember falling madly in love with him in those 2 weeks and counting down the days till I could ring his brother in Perth and get his phone number from him and find out where he was. So when I got on the phone to his brother 2 weeks later, I'm still in this state of euphoric bliss, anxiously wanting to find this person. And I explained that I'd known him in my 20s and I'd known him and his partner, and, the last I heard he'd gone to Europe because so she could do her opera singing and blah, blah, blah. And he explained all of that. And he also then tells me that unfortunately his wife had passed away from a really aggressive cancer that just came, and she was gone in 6 months. And I thought, oh my God, that's sad. But apparently her and my friend had already broken up like years earlier, and John was with someone else. But I was still really excited about having a chat to my friend. So I wait until, because it's, like it's a bit tricky trying to ring Europe. It's not so bad ringing. It's not so bad ringing USA, but it's a bit tricky, ringing England because, it's late at night here when they're first getting up in the morning, etc., etc. So You're never going to guess what happens next. You just never. And of course, it was a really bad weather day, bad storm coming in. It was a bad phone line, but I couldn't wait any longer to speak to him. So I call him up, and guess what happens next? He couldn't even remember who I was. So the whole "you're my what if" girl, he couldn't even remember who I was. He was trying to place it, you know. And he had moved out of construction and into pubs, so maybe he drank too much or whatever. I don't know. He just could not remember who I was. He could remember the names of my boyfriend and his brother that he shared a house with, but he couldn't remember my name, and he couldn't remember the incident with me at all. Breathe. I don't know. It's just so funny. It's such a crack up, and I remember just being, oh my God. But and I was laughing at eventually I got off the phone and I was just laughing at myself, at my own stupidity, really. But this is the big lesson I want you to know. What I learned from that was that all of that love that I felt and all of that love that came up, it had nothing to do with him. It had nothing to do with him. It was coming from me. It was coming from inside of me, those feelings of being deeply in love and deeply cherished and deeply adored and all of that. It was coming from within me because he couldn't even remember who I was, which I still find hilarious now, like a decade on from that. I find that so hilarious. But this is the gift in all of this that we are missing, or you might be missing, just in case you haven't seen it or got it clearly yet. When we're looking for soulmates, when we're looking for twin flames is a crack up for me. I'll have to do a story on that another time. But again, it's a reflection of who you are. So all of you people who have met your loved ones and fallen in love and fallen away, and you're like sworn off ever finding another person, this love that I'm speaking to you about that I found in the 2 weeks that I was waiting to get his brother on the phone to call him, I found that within me. And I have since found out that that unconditional love, that unconditional cherishing of your being and who you are, exists within you, probably deep down at this awareness level we just took you into, underneath the poop and underneath the stories of the things that have happened to us by partners or by people we fell in love with. You were really falling in love with yourself, and that love was being reflected back to you by that person. But what happens is, you know, we've been trained this way or whatever it is, when that person goes away, and this is including when those people pass away, we think that that love is gone and we're never going to have it back, and so it hurts so much we close ourselves off. What about if you could stay in the love? What about if you could stay in the bliss? What about if you could be completely and totally and utterly in love with yourself? What do you think might happen next if you do that? Breathe for me. I can feel already, I haven't even loaded the video, I can feel all your brains having a blooming coronary about this, or your heart's having a coronary, probably more likely. Just breathe. What do you think might happen if you found this love that you're searching for in another human being, in our children, in our partners, in the people we love that have passed over? What do you think might happen to you and your life if you uncovered that love within you and brought it to the surface and let it fill every one of those 100 trillion cells and 100 trillion telomeres? Do you think you might attract more beautiful people that are also madly in love with themselves and are going to reflect that love back to you? That are not going to hurt you, that are not going to use you, that are not going to toss you away? Breathe. The other thing that's going to happen is that love is so magnetic. all of the money, joy, peace, bliss. That's why when people do my activations daily and good stuff starts to happen, money starts to show up because they're activating the abundance. But this way you could like triple activate it. I don't know. You could magnify it thousands of times is probably what I should have said there, by uncovering that love. All the top of my crown is going berserk. And bring that love to the surface. Now, how do you do that? You can just sit there and invite all of that unconditional love, bliss, joy that is within you to the surface. As you're inviting it to the surface, open your hands out and with your palms up, and open your arms up as if you're about to hug someone or hug a tree. And then just breathe. Now, all of the poop that you put on top of that love, and all of the conditions, I'm never falling in love again, all of the stories I meant, and conditions, I'm never falling in love again unless he's rich, I'm never falling in love again unless, and all the stories that go with it. I'm never opening my heart again to have it broken again. And the reason your heart's broken is because you've closed it down to this love. Excuse me, sorry. Just breathe and invite that love to come up. And you might find you need to burp, yawn, sneeze, whatever. And you might find some stickiness and some tightness around your chest, but just keep breathing. It will take less than 5 minutes until that stuff comes up, and then all you can feel is love. And you might need to do that for a week. If you've been particularly screwed over, it might take you, 4 weeks to do that. But I'm suggesting now at the end of your, chuck the body out the window, identity out the window, for thoughts, feelings and emotions and opinions out the window, that you then just ask to throw out the window anything that's stopping you from experiencing pure source love and light and pure love within you. And just keep breathing that love up. And it's when you feel safe and secure in this love within yourself that partners, soulmates, kings or queens will show up. And they may even, soulmates can show up. You have lots of different soulmates. You're not going to make love to all of them. You're not going to sleep with all of them. And you're not going to be a lover with all of them. Some of them will just become your best friends. But those beings will show up in your life and make your life richer and more beautiful and joyful. I can assure you that more money and abundance is attracted to this love as well. So just breathe. Just take a moment. And if you can't get to that love, this is important. If you can't get to that love, you can't feel that love, then think of the person that did love you. It could be a grandparent. Sometimes it's, when babies are first born, the reason we all fall in love with them because they're pure source light. And nobody's wrecked them yet. Nobody's put any conditions and names and, projected stuff onto them. They're just pure source energy straight from God or from source. And that's why we love them. So those of you who had children, you can think about that love and just use that love to activate the love within you. Or it could be when you did fall in love. And now, especially if you've fallen in love with your soulmate and it has turned to poop or whatever, it's a mess now, just breathe back into that love that was there and just keep bringing it up, and it will get rid of all the stuff that caused you to separate, hopefully. I'm not saying you'll get that done in one day. That may take a bit of work. But when you return yourself to the love that you are, fall in love with you, when you return yourself to this love and you awaken it within yourselves, then you just watch the magic that is reflected back to you once you fall in love with who you truly are. Breathe. Breathe. Okay, so this darling little miracle went much longer than I intended to. I told someone about it this morning and it only took 6 minutes. But I didn't embellish it like I have here. So I'm just going to stay with this love now, just for another minute. So you can feel what awaits you so that you will practice this. And stop looking for it in someone else. I would not if you've got stuff and I'm never falling in love again and I'm done with love and any of that stuff going on, then honestly, I would not fall in love with anyone else until you've fallen totally, madly, deeply in love with yourself. Truly, madly, deeply. One of my favourite songs from Savage Garden. Till you have fallen truly, madly, deeply in love with you, don't even bother looking for someone else. Or until you've healed the ones that have hurt you. Don't bother looking for anyone until you can find this love underneath those people that hurt you. Don't bother. Don't bother. Until you're madly in love with you, and then the right people will come back that will reflect that to you. But if you've still got stuff going on, trust me, they're going to reflect that back to you until you've healed it. Okay, love, love, love. My deepest love and richest blessings to you all. Have a truly blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye for now.